The bridge of the Imperial dreadnought Kethazol hummed with the low thrum of quantum processors, their crystalline surfaces pulsing in rhythmic patterns that had remained unchanged for 3,000 cycles. Commander Velcora's sensory stalks twitched in what her species considered mild annoyance as she reviewed the scan data for the third time. "This cannot be accurate," she muttered, her translator converting the clicks and whistles into standard Galactic. "Recalibrate the sensors immediately." Her tactical officer, a hulking Gremnithy with armor-plated skin, worked his console with surprising delicacy. "Commander, the calibration is perfect. The signature is, it's human." The word sent a ripple of unease through the bridge crew. Humans, the primitives from Sol 3 who had only achieved faster-than-light travel 2 standard years ago. The species that built their ships from refined ore and chemical propulsion before stumbling into the greater galaxy like children wandering into a palace. "Impossible," Velcora stated flatly. "Humans don't have warships. They have survey vessels, scientific cruisers, cargo haulers held together with, what did the intelligence report call it? Duct tape and hope." "Nevertheless, Commander," the tactical officer insisted, "that vessel is broadcasting human identification codes, and it's headed directly toward our position." Velcora's central eye focused on the main viewscreen. The approaching vessel looked nothing like the sleek, elegant curves of Imperial warships, or even the brutal efficiency of Krell battlecruiser. It was angular, almost awkward, with asymmetrical weapon pods jutting from its hull, like the spines of some deep space predator. Primitive, perhaps, but there was something unsettling about its silhouette. Aboard the UHSF United Human Space Force, Defiant, Lieutenant Eva Chen sat in the pilot's chair with the casual confidence of someone who had spent more time in zero gravity than on solid ground. Her fingers danced across the haptic interface, making micro-adjustments to their approach vector. "Think they've noticed us yet?" she asked, glancing at the tactical station where Lieutenant Liam O'Connor was hunched over a three-dimensional holographic display. "They've noticed," Liam replied with a grin that didn't quite reach his eyes. "Their sensor sweeps have hit us 17 times in the last 2 minutes. They're trying to figure out what we are. Let them wonder." Captain Rodriguez's voice crackled over the comm from the deck below. "Eva, bring us to within optimum range but stay outside their heavy artillery envelope. Liam, make sure our friends know we're armed and not particularly friendly." "Aye," Captain Eva responded, her hands already moving. The Defiant wasn't beautiful by anyone's standards, but she flew like a dream if that dream involved strapping rockets to a weapons platform and pointing it at the enemy. Liam activated the weapons diagnostic, and immediately, targeting arrays lit up across the ship's hull, railgun batteries, missile pods, and the experimental plasma lance that made up the ship's primary armament all came online with a chorus of confirmation tones. "They're hailing us," the communications officer announced. "Put them through," Rodriguez ordered. Velcora's image appeared on the Defiant's main screen, her translator-processed voice carrying the unmistakable tone of aristocratic disdain. "Human vessel, you are in violation of Imperial space. By what authority do you buy?" "The authority of not giving a damn," Captain Rodriguez interrupted, his weathered face filling their screen in return. "Commander, we tracked 3 of your survey ships raiding civilian colonies in the Epsilon sector. Colonies under Earth Alliance protection, I might add." "Preposterous. The Empire does not engage in Save It." Rodriguez cut her off again. "We have the data. We have the survivors. And now we have you. So here's how this works. You're going to turn your ship around, head back to Imperial space, and deliver a message to your superiors. The message is simple. Humanity is done being ignored." Velcora's sensory stalks quivered with rage. "You dare threaten the Empire? With that primitive vessel? One word from me and the entire Fifth Fleet will reduce your pathetic world to atoms." Liam chose that moment to light up every weapon system simultaneously. On Velcora's sensors, the Defiant transformed from a curiosity into a constellation of targeting locks and active weapon signatures. "Here's the thing about primitive," Liam said, his voice calm but carrying an edge that made even Eva glance his way. "We don't have your fancy shielding technology. We can't fold space or manipulate quantum fields, but we got really, really good at killing each other for about 10,000 years before we made it to space." Eva adjusted their position, bringing the Defiant into a rolling maneuver that positioned every weapon's battery for maximum effect. Every system on this ship was designed by people who grew up watching their cities burn, who survived wars you can't imagine, who built weapons because the alternative was extinction. Rodriguez leaned forward in his command chair. So go ahead, Commander, call your Fifth Fleet, but understand this, we're not the scared primitives you remember from first contact. We've been studying, we've been building, and we've been waiting for someone to give us an excuse. The silence stretched between the two ships. Velcara's tactical officer leaned in, whispering urgently. She listened, and for the first time since the conversation began, uncertainty flickered across her alien features. What is it? She demanded. Commander, their weapons, the energy signatures, they're not standard plasma or particle beams. They're kinetic and chemical and electromagnetic systems we haven't seen in millennia. Our shields aren't optimized for I know what they are, Velcara hissed. The question is whether they work. As if in answer, Liam triggered a single railgun test fire. The projectile, a solid tungsten rod accelerated to a fraction of light, speed-streaked past the Ketha Azul, close enough to make their proximity alarms scream. It sailed harmlessly into space, but the message was clear. Ava's hands remained steady on the controls. Your move, Commander. Velcara stared at the primitive human ship with its impossible weapons and its crew, that somehow managed to be both technologically inferior and utterly terrifying. In 3,000 years of imperial expansion, she had never encountered a species quite like this one that treated the vast gulf of technological disparity not as an obstacle but as a challenge to overcome through sheer bloody-minded determination. The Empire will hear of this, she said finally, her voice lacking its earlier certainty. We're counting on it, Rodriguez replied. The Kethazul began its turn, massive engines burning as it retreated from the confrontation. On the bridge of the Defiant, Eva let out a breath she hadn't realized she'd been holding. Think they got the message? Liam asked. Eva watched the Imperial Dreadnought disappear into FTL, a smile playing at the corners of her mouth. Oh, they got it. The question is whether they believe it. They'll believe it, Rodriguez said quietly, because we're going to make sure they do. Humanity doesn't back down. Not now, not ever. The Defiant hung in space, a tiny speck against the infinite darker testament to human ingenuity, human stubbornness, and the simple truth that sometimes the most primitive solution is the most terrifying one. The Galactic Empire would learn that lesson soon enough.